Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're untangling a really fascinating and honestly, absolutely crucial corner of business law. We're going to focus strictly on one massive question. How does wrongful manipulation actually break a contract? We're throwing out all the complicated legal jargon and zeroing in on two absolute deal breakers, coercion and undue influence. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly how to spot the difference between the two. To kick things off, I want you to imagine a scenario. Seriously. Picture the difference between someone physically forcing you into an agreement versus someone quietly, almost invisibly, using their position of power to manipulate your choice. Now, both of these ruin a contract, but they do it in incredibly different ways. It's force versus power. It's a subtle distinction for sure, but a crucial one. So what exactly breaks your ability to freely say yes?
Okay, let's dive right into this by establishing our common ground. What a valid contract actually looks like before it gets broken. We need to understand free consent.
The legal world uses this fancy phrase, consensus ad idem. It comes straight from Section 14 of the Indian Contract Act of 1872. But for those of us just starting out, that's really just a formal way of describing free consent. It basically means both parties are completely 100% willingly entering into a contract. They have to have the exact same level of emotion and the exact same level of understanding. Think about it. If one person is totally terrified or completely confused, while the other is super confident, well, that contract simply cannot be valid. There's a major flaw in the consent. So let's look at the first major flaw that destroys that free consent. Pillar 1, coercion. The crucial thing to understand about coercion is that it's all about intense pressure. We're talking about the harsh reality of forced agreements here. This isn't just some quiet disagreement. This is someone actively relying on aggressive external pressure and negative thoughts to literally back you into a corner. Let's define it strictly. Coercion is a situation where another party has negative thoughts, and they use those thoughts to compromise you. And how do they do that? By threatening or forcing you through actions that are strictly against the law. That is the magic word here, illegal. It's the application of unlawful threats meant to break your free will and force you into signing on the dotted line. To really grasp this, let's systematically walk through the 6 specific elements that make up coercion. First off, it involves committing acts forbidden by the IPC. That's the Indian Penal Code, basically the rulebook of illegal acts. So for example, if a contract involves banned items and someone forces it, boom, that's coercion. Second, just the threat to commit those illegal acts counts. If they're just showing force to make an agreement happen, it's coercion. Third is the unlawful detention of a party. Imagine harsh third-party agents locking someone in a room until they sign. Crazy, right? Fourth, it's not just about detaining people. Threatening to wrongly detain property counts too. If someone says, hey, if you don't agree to this, I will take your property, your consent is officially broken. Fifth, and honestly this is fascinating, coercion can proceed from anyone. Even a complete stranger to the contract can be the one applying the force. And finally, the 6th element, it can be directed at anyone. You could be forced into a contract simply because someone is threatening to harm a completely innocent third party. All right, let's shift gears and see how this builds into our second pillar, a completely different way consent is destroyed, undue influence. Notice how different the vibe is here. We are talking about banned items or unlawful detention anymore. Undue influence is all about internal relationship dynamics. It's about domination that happens quietly, based entirely on who holds the power in a specific relationship. Here is our exact definition. Undue influence is a situation where one party wants to get approval, not by forcing you with an illegal threat, but by showing their power or by dominating you. It relies entirely on a pre-existing power imbalance. You aren't being threatened with physical harm. Instead, your ability to choose is quietly suffocated by someone who just naturally has authority over you. To really anchor this abstract concept, let's look at 2 classic specific examples right from our text. First, the relationship between a father and a son, and second, the relationship between an owner and a servant. In both of these scenarios, one person naturally sits in a position of authority. A father obviously has natural influence over his son, right? An owner controls a servant's livelihood. If the father or the owner uses that inherent power to dominate the other person's approval and push a contract through, that is undue influence. The consent wasn't free, it was dominated. Now for the climax of our explainer. Let's put both of these concepts head to head to really solidify this. Force versus power, side by side. And this brilliantly illustrates the core difference. Coercion acts as an external, illegal attack. It involves explicit threats, forbidden acts, and negative thoughts designed to violently force an agreement. Undue influence, on the other hand, is internal, psychological domination. It leverages existing relationship dynamics to show power and dominate approval. Basically, one uses a weapon, the other uses a relationship.
So as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a rather provocative thought. If you sit down to sign a contract tomorrow, are you genuinely entering into it with consensus ad idem? Are you actually acting with the exact same level of emotion and understanding as the other person? Or is there an unseen force of coercion, or maybe a quiet power of undue influence, subtly guiding your hand? Understanding the difference between these two isn't just about passing a law exam. It's about understanding human behavior itself. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring.